Good evening. Welcome. We're going to learn, continue the mimer we learned 2 weeks ago on Parshas Emor. We learned only half the mimer. We learned about the 3 times saying Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. And what we learned, you can listen to the class for the first part. It's on our website, on YouTube. It's called Lva'er Hadvarim al Pasuk v'nikdashti. Fascinating stuff. And now we're holding Perek Gimel. We learned last week Perek Aleph and Perek Beis 2 weeks ago, and now we're holding on Daf Lamed Daled. This is in Lakuti Torah, in Vayikra, in Parshas Emor, Daf Lamed Daled, on the second column, so it's called Amud Beis. Okay, so the mimer is based on the teaching of the Zohar, which is later explained by the Arizal, which later the mimer gives us the neshama, the soul of the whole idea. And that is that when we say Kadosh, Kadosh, the Zohar says that the 3 times Kadosh, Kadosh, holy, holy, holy that we say is the first time we're causing the heavens, the level that's called Shamayim, which is the heaven, to rise up to the supernal level called Kodesh, which the supernal level of Kodesh, as we know, is referred to Chachma. Chachma is, the level of Chachma is the first of the 10 Sfirot, and it's the place, it's the sphere, it's the attribute where the Orin Soif, where the Infinite One resides. And therefore it's called holy because it's removed, and the reason why the Infinite One can reside in Chachma is because Chachma doesn't try to spin what it receives and define it. Chachma allows the, whatever, in this case, the Eibishter, to be fully himself in Chachma without Chachma trying to give it its own slant. Unlike Bina that already is trying to grasp. Bina needs to make, whatever Bina is touching, Bina needs to make it its own. That's the whole idea of Bina, absorption. Bina is like the woman, she needs to absorb it, take it in. And because Bina is an element of absorption, in order to absorb, it has to grasp. And for grasping already, it adds a definition to something, and therefore it's not the pure or Ein Sof. And that's why Bina is not called Kodesh. Bina, in a sense, is called already Shechina. Bina is called Shechina Ilah, the higher Shechina. Because it's the opposite of I'm going to say the opposite. It's Shechina is an idea opposite of Kodesh in the sense that Shechina mixes as opposed to Kedusha, which remains aloof, above, unfazed, untouched, unimpressed, above it all. So Chacham is the first sphere. So what are we saying? When we say Kadosh, we're lifting the Shamayim up into Chachma. When we say Shamayim, we explained in the earlier class last time that the Shamayim refers to the 6 emotions, the 6 spheres of Atzilus, which are the 6 divine emotions, which is sometimes referred to as HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we lift HaKadosh Baruch Hu up into the level called Chachma. And that in the Zohar refers to lifting the Vav, because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the level of the 6 spheres, is the Vav of Hashem's name. Yud, we learned this many times, Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bina, the 6 emotions from Chesed through Yesod is Vav. So when you take the Vav and you elevate it up into Chachma, you're lifting the Vav into Kodesh. And what happens when what happens? That makes that from Kodesh becomes Kadosh. Kadosh. How did it become Kadosh? Because the Vav enters in. Without Chachma, without a Vav, is Kuf Dalet Shin. It's the essence of holiness. When you take the Vav and you put the Vav inside, it becomes Kadosh. Kadosh means something that absorbed that holiness. In Chachma, there's nothing. The only thing in Chachma is Echad Emes. Chachma is the experience only of Eibishter, Elokus. There's nothing else there. The level called Shamayim, which are already the Midos are already an entity. That the Eibishter's Midos, they have already form, they have already definition. They are children of Bina. So the emotional level, the 6 emotions, they definitely are already what we call mitzuyar, with a certain tziyur. They have already a certain definition. And the avoid over here is, and they're the source of creation. The emotions are the source of creation. Because the reason we have 6 days in creation is because there's 6 emotions. So if they're already a source for creation, means they are related to the creation. And therefore, they have already certain hagabala, they have a certain definition. Like that's why we call them shamayim. It's not God anymore, it's already shamayim. Shamayim means eish umayim, fire and water. So they have already definition of chesed and gevura from different definitions. Once something is defined, it's already separated from the Ein Sof. If it's separated from the Ein Sof, it's, it doesn't have, it can't live on its own. It needs chayos. It needs to be imbued with chayos from the Ein Sof. So how do you draw down the Or Ein Sof, the infinite one, into the Midos, and eventually via the Midos into Malchus, and eventually via Malchus all the way down into creation, into the world, all the way down into our daily lives, that the bracha should come and should fill us in every aspect of our being, health, parnasa, enlightenment, all the blessings we want and we need. How do these blessings come down? First, we have to be mamshich these blessings in the shayrish and makar of all the olamos, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Shechina. The 6 emotions and Malchus. That's where we have to be mamshich. That's where we have to draw the light. How do we draw the light? So there's a general rule. Before any hamshacha, before any flow, before any drawing down, before any download, there first needs to be an upload. And after an upload, there can be a download. So this is the way it works. The first Kaddish is an upload. What happens is the level of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the 6 emotions, have an appreciation how limited it is, how defined it is, because it's already definable emotions and midos. So it experiences a sudden yearning and a quest to know and to touch the unknowable. By doing what? And realizing that it has to get out of itself. And that's the first Kaddish. The level of a Kaddish Baruch who senses the Or Ein Sof that's in Chachma, senses the Or Ein Sof and yearns for the Or Ein Sof that's in Chachma. When he yearns for the Or Ein Sof in Chachma, he is elevated into the Or Ein Sof in Chachma. Now what happens? That level that's called Kodesh, without a Vav, Chachma, because it's a seat where the Or Ein Sof dwells, is now includes within itself a much, much lower level of the 6 midos are elevated into Chachma. And what happens is, that means the Vav goes into Kodesh and it becomes Kadosh. That's the first Kodesh. In Avoda, this is what's happening up there, but we're the ones saying Kadosh. We and the angels. So in Avoda, what does that mean? So it means as follows. To the Malachim, it means the first group of Malachim called Srafim, that they have such an appreciation how nothing all of creation is, and how the Eibishter's light infinitely transcends them, and therefore they yearn to get out of themselves. And that's the meaning of the Pasuk. It says, Srafim oimde mimaloi, that the Srafim stand above the Shechina, because they yearn for Shechina's already the light that is an energy that is the soul of creation, immersed in creation. And they're yearning for what's beyond creation. So for the Malachim, it's this quest and this yearning and what we call the bittul. The bittul. To us down here, it's our avodah during Kriya Shema. It's the Mesiras Nefesh by Kriya Shema, which Kriya Shema is also supposed to be an exercise of total bittul. That when you say Shema Yisroel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, you're so nullified in the Orein Soif that you don't know that you exist. And hu levadei hu v'yein zu lasei. That's the state you have to be by the Shema. In a pure Echad state. It's called in Chassidus Yechudi Allah, the higher unity. Limsar nafshay be'echad. Limsar nafshay be'echad doesn't mean to imagine that someone is shooting you. That's by Bechol, that too is in davening. You say that your Yid is willing to say, the Eibishter, I'm going to give my life for Gashem. That's a kavanah, and that's by Bechol nafshecha, fill and noitelas nafshecha, even if. But the Mesiras Nefesh by Echad is not that I'm willing to give my life. Mesiras Nefesh by Echad is the idea that I realize that I'm becoming absorbed in Him because there's nothing but Him. I'm pulling out of myself into the Eibishter. That's the first Kaddish. And what that does, when a Yid does that down here below, it elevates the cosmos. It elevates the source of the cosmos into the Orein Soif. That aliyah, that what's called Allah Asman, that raising of feminine waters, rising upward in yearning, in desire to dissolve, causes a yichud of Chachma and Bina. It causes a unity between Chachma and Bina, which in Chassidus is called a yichud of Yesh and Ayin. I'm sorry, Ayin and Yesh. Bina is Yesh, Ayin is nothing. Chachma and Bina are Misyachid. What is the deeper meaning of the yichud of Chachma and Bina? So we learned 2 weeks ago that it really means not a yichud of Chachma and Bina. It really means a downloading of Orein Soif into Chachma from levels way, 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 way above Chachma. In other words, basically it means getting all the way to the very essence of the Eibishter himself, who's impacted and desires that relationship with us. And when we yearn from him, he's metzamtzim himself, he contracts himself into Chachma for a total new download into Chachma. And once it's in Chachma, Chachma passes it on to Bina, and then it gets Nimshach. So that's the first Kaddish. Second Kaddish is the Zohar says, the Zohar continues. Once the heavens now have been immersed in Chachma, and now they become Kaddish, the heavens now return liduchtei. I think that's the Lashon of the Zohar. They return back to their place. Imbued, invigorated with this new awareness, with this deeper consciousness of bittul of Orein Soif. Now they go back down to do their job, to be the source of creation, the 6 emotions. But they're different already because they have become far bittelt. They're far more in tune with the purpose than with their own agenda. If you can say that on the spheres of Atzilus, their own agenda. They become channels for something way beyond them. And that's the second Kaddish. In the mystical terminology of the Zohar, or in the writings of the Arizal, it means that from Tiferes of Bina, remember that the first Kaddish caused a flow of energy from Chachma to Bina. In Bina itself, it processes through the spherois of Bina. From the Tiferes element of Bina becomes a Nimshach, a Keser, a crown to the emotions in their place. Before the emotions went up above their place. Now that when we return, they come down with a crown. That's the second crown. But it says, when Yidden say Kaddish, we crown the Eibishter. This is the second crown. This is the crown from Bina to the Zeir Anpin. From Bina, who's the mother, to the Zeir, that's the idea of Ba'atara she'itra lo imoi, the crown that his mother crowned him. In the end of the Maayon, we're going to see a different explanation on Ba'atara she'itra lo imoi. Well, this is one of the explanations, that Bina gives a crown to the Zeir Anpin, meaning to say that they're now invigorated with far, far greater light. How does that accomplished? What moves the energy from a state of Hala a state of melting and being absorbed into a state of hamshacha, going back down into the definitions that the Eibishter wants the world to be in, the borders and boundaries and specifics of creation, but doing them from going back down with a godly initiative and a godly project or a godly purpose. So this hamshacha, what stimulates it? That's limud haTorah. Torah study. Torah study is mamshich da'or, if you can say, from Keser, or from Keser, Chachma and Bina, down into the world of Atzilus. Into Atzilus, because the main bulk of Atzilus is the Ze'er Anpin, the 6 emotions of Atzilus. That's really the world of Atzilus. Okay. Then the Zohar continues. And the Zohar says that in order to be mamshich da'or, however, further, we say the third Kaddish. What happens with the third Kaddish is it descends down further to the level that's called Tzaddik, and the level that's called Tzaddik receives that light, and then it is going to pass it on to Malchus. To be mashpia, the Zohar says latata below. Malchus is called already latata below. It's already, the Malchus is already creation. How does that hamshacha happen? That's through mitzvahs. Because mitzvahs are more grounding the light and the energy of the divine mamish into the world. In general, Yidden that study Torah all day, yeshiva light that learn Torah, and we know without Torah the world cannot stand. And we spoke about this on Monday night. By the way, a lot of what I am talking about now is contained in the Monday night shir. The idea that it would connect. A very interesting relationship of the first time, the two cut. What's mainly discussed in that shir, not talking about the two cut, is on that. The first time higher, there's air. Again, I gave the first half of the shir, so we're not going to go over the whole thing. Now we're going to learn. We're going to begin. He's going to explain over here. Even though we actually started Perek Gimel, what we call Tamchin Da'iraisa, the supporters of Torah, the pillars of Torah, the Yidden who give tzedakah, the mitzvah Jews, the business people. We would have nothing from all the yeshiva light. In addition to the fact that the yeshiva light need them in order to support them, they give them money and help them out. But even their spiritual hamshacha would never reach down here. It would remain in the spiritual worlds. It's dafka the people who do physical mitzvahs that channel God's bracha down begashmis. Sometimes if you need a blessing, it's better to go to a businessman who gives tzedakah than a rabbi who teaches a lot of Torah. Because he's the guy who's got the keys to get it down here. Down here. That's why it's actually also called Tamchin Da'iraisa, the feet of the Torah. That's called feet. Where are the feet? The feet touch the ground. You have to bring the Eibishter down into the feet. And he says that's through mitzvahs ma'asiyah, it's actual mitzvahs. Ki pirish tzaddik zel derech masher kasev b'Avram. Pirish of the word tzaddik is like it says by Avram Avinu v'shamru derech havaya lasis tzedakah. They will guard, they will observe the way of the Eibishter, lasis tzedakah. And what is the idea of the way of Hashem? The way of Hashem means the channels, just like a way, is a road, and where someone travels. Derech Hashem, if you want to cause the Eibishter to travel down through the drachim, Hashem to take the infinite journey, to travel on the roads. Hashem should come down on the 405 freeway, on the 5. Hashem should come down on the 101. Down here on the roads of California, we have to bring him down through doing tzedakah. Why? What's the connection? Well, because that's the whole content of tzedakah. The main thing about tzedakah is to enliven the spirit of the lowly. You're enlivening the spirit of the lowly. People that unfortunately don't have, the guy's nebuch and kahak tetzaris, someone suddenly goes and very nice and gives him money, writes him a check, suddenly it lifts his spirits up. Amachaya. So just like this person went to a lowly place, a place that was lost, and he had no idea where he's going to get his help, or she's going to get her help. Suddenly a kind person came and gave them money, and suddenly, wow. So just like we do it down here, this happens in the cosmos. The creation is considered shvalim, very shuffle, very lowly. So what's lahachyois? What enlivens ruach shvalim? It's when the Orein Seif comes down here. But what's going to trigger the Orein Seif to come down? A yid caring about someone else, and a lowly person who's helpless, and taking care of that person. That's channeling. It's causing, because the Eibush, as we always know the rule, Hashem tzilcha, Hashem works with us like a shadow. In the manner which we work, b'midah sha'adan moidid, in the manner and the measure that a person is acting, the Eibush works along with us. V'gam kol ha-mitzvahs, that's tzedakah, which is the main mitzvah, but all the mitzvahs are called tzedakah. And the person who does mitzvahs is called a tzaddik. Al shem ha-tzedakah, which is the idea of hashpah, which is the idea of tzaddik yesod olam, that's foundation, bonding. Like it says, it's tzedakah tiyalanu, and that tzedakah will be for us. Ki nishmar, when we will observe all the mitzvahs, it says it will be called tzedakah. So we see that all the mitzvahs are all about, they're all the same concept of tzedakah. And they're all called tzedakah. Kach lamaila, the same is also above. Amshach ha'sa'or, to draw down the Eibishter's light. L'darga, the tzaddik, to the level of tzaddik, which is yesod. Shememenu nimshach b'malchus, which yesod is the one that passes on the energy, the vitality, and the godly infusion. Where? Into malchus, which malchus is mamish, the source of speech, of the source of creation. Makar de biyah, which malchus is the makar, the source of bria, yitzir, and asiyah. So why they mitzvahs ma'asiyos, that is accomplished dafka through physical mitzvahs, action, mitzvahs of action. Bir adavar, and the explanation of the matter is Yuvan Bahagdim, well, first understood by first prefacing Lahav and Ahefresh ben Esek HaTorah L'Kiyam HaMitzvahs. We'll understand this by understanding the difference of Torah study and the observance of mitzvahs. Even though it seems like Torah is only what? An explanation on mitzvahs, and that would imply that Torah is far more inferior to mitzvahs. To show us how a mitzvah should be performed. What's Torah? Whichever halachis you're learning in Torah is the halachis of how to make a sukkah, how to bring a korban pesach, how to do this mitzvah, how to do yibum and chalitza and getting married, and all the mitzvahs that we do. The Torah instructs us on how to do those mitzvahs. Comes out that the mitzvah seems to be superior to Torah. Im kein or ikar hu amaisa, comes out that the primary concern over here is the action, and Torah is only instructing us in action. V'chein amar Razal, and Chazal taka say also, lo ya medrash hu ikar. The medrash, the study, is not the ikar, is not the primary thing. Ela hamaisa, the main thing is deed. V'gam masha nimru v'gamru, and even this that Chazal took a vote, and they came to a conclusion after they did a vote. That what? That Talmud Gadol, that Torah study is greater than doing mitzvahs, which seems to contradict what we're saying now, that mitzvahs is the main thing. But if you think about what's the reason they say Talmud Gadol, why is Torah greater? The sages say because it leads you to do mitzvahs. The more you learn, you end up doing more mitzvahs because you're more aware of the mitzvahs. Comes out that in the very notion when you say that Talmud Gadol, that Torah is greater, you're implying that why is Torah greater? Because it leads you to doing mitzvahs. Because it leads to action. So all of this is indicating that what? That Torah is secondary to mitzvahs. Look in the Maimer V'ato Yigdal Nom Parsha Sholach. We turn over the page. Page 68. That's why the Torah is called a lavush, a garment, because the Torah is a garment to the mitzvahs. Shenikra lavush. The mitzvah is considered the pnimius. It's called a lavush, legaba ha-mitzvah, to the mitzvah. V'ratzon ha'elyon atzmoi, and the supernal will. The Torah is only explaining the will. But what's the will itself? The mitzvah is the will. What does the Eibishter want? The Eibishter wants a Jew to put on tefillin. For that, you have to have Torah, Hilchis Tefillin, that explains you how to wear tefillin. So that's a garment. It encloses the Ratzin. The Ratzin is the mitzvah. Like the Ramaz says, Parshas Bamidbar, Daf Kuf Yud Ches Amid Aleph. The Abba, that Abba. Torah comes from Abba. Abba means father, because Torah comes from Chachma. Chachma is called father. We learned that many times. The Abba, hu malbish hapnimi shel arich. That Abba is the internal garment. It's the innermost garment of arich. Arich is erech anpin, is keser. And keser is ratzon. In Chassidus, we always associate keser with ratzon, with will. So mitzvahs come from keser. That's why there are 620 mitzvahs. Gematria keser. And Torah comes from Chachma. And Chachma garbs Abba, which is Chachma, garbs Erech Anpin, is a levush for Erech Anpin. All of this is consistent with the idea that mitzvahs are deeper and higher than Torah, and Torah is only an explanation. The Parsha Tzitzis, Gabed, Shar biyamin, v'sa'ar b'smoil. Talks about the word shar and sar. Shar means an entranceway, and sar means a here. Sa'ara is here. And over there he goes in to explain this in which I didn't check up, so I don't know. Afal pikein, nevertheless, but look over there. It's probably a good idea to look. Afal pikein. So this is all still a continuation to explain what? That Torah is greater than, that mitzvahs are greater than Torah, and Torah is only a pirush on mitzvahs. Afal pikein, nevertheless, Torah shubchines chachma, Torah, which is wisdom, hinaila maha mitzvahs. In some sense, Torah is really greater than mitzvahs. Why? Shemamsheches mepchines hapnimis. Torah takes from a much deeper inner dimension. Shu is galis chachmi la mamish. When you're learning Torah, you're really perceiving and understanding chachma ilah mamish. Literally, the Eibishter's chachma, like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that it's the Eibishter's chachma itself. That if Reuven is going to argue so and so, and Shimon is going to counter argue so and so, the halacha should be so and so. That's what the Alter Rebbe says. That itself, it's God's wisdom. That is chachmi Allah mamish. Not the chitzonius of the Eibishter's chachma, the pnimius of the Eibishter's chachma. Obviously, when Reuven argues so and Shimon argues so, the halacha should be so and so, as it is in the Eibishter's chachma, applies to incredible phenomenon, much more than just the earthy Reuven and Shimon fighting over a garment. But still, it's the same reasoning, and this is just a minuscule minuscule illustration of a infinitely cosmic idea. Incredible idea. But still, it's the same concept. Brought down to us like an amashal in a small little story, in a peep-squeak way. But nevertheless, it's the Eibishter's chachma itself. In contrast to mitzvahs, okay, so I know Torah is chachma, mitzvahs is ratzon. So ratzon is higher than chachma. So why are we saying, but u'maisa mitzvahs and the deed of mitzvahs, mamshichim rak mechitzoni keser. In the act of a mitzvah, we're drawing down only from the external part of keser. So even though keser is infinitely higher than chachma, yet there is a quality in Torah over mitzvahs, because Torah is the etzem chachma of the Eibishter, and mitzvahs is only the chitzonius, is mamshich only from the chitzonius of the Eibishter's Ratzon, from the external of the Eibishter's Ratzon. So here the question becomes, why he doesn't explain over here? Why is mitzvahs only from the chitzonius of keser? But for now, let's take it as it is. I mean, we learned Maayon about that. I forget everything that I learned, so I don't remember anymore. But this has been discussed already, right? Mitzvahs is what? Drawing down from keser, but from the chitzonius of keser. So now becomes the question, which one is greater? The chitzonius of a higher level, the external of a higher level, or the internal of a lower level? First, that's the question. Is the chitzonius of a higher level, the external of the higher level, greater than the internal of a lower level? If you can meet Shlomo HaMelech and only hear a mashal from Shlomo HaMelech, but never hear the nimshal, you're only hearing the metaphor, but you never got to hear the nimshal. You're never going to know the nimshal. You can never figure it out. It's such a deep thing that Shlomo HaMelech just gave you this parable, and all you saw was the parable. So you got the chitzonius of his seichel. Or you meet some other genius of geniuses, and he shared with you some of his deep inner insight. So what's greater? The pnimius of a lower level, or the chitzonius of a higher level? So there is what to say on each, for each one. Torah is the pnimius of, let me put it this way. Torah is the pnimius of mamale kalalman, and mitzvahs is the chitzonius of soviv kalalman. Now, Sovev is much higher than Mamale. Sovev is the Eibishter's light, unadjusted. And maybe that's the reason why we can't receive the pnimius of it, because the pnimius of it would be just too much. So even in a mitzvah. Again, he's not explaining over here why a mitzvah is only taken from the chitzonius, but that's what it is. I am Ashakasav al-Pasuk vayedaber dar seres adibris, which I think we learned that minor. And therefore, because the Maila of Limud Torah is really higher, in the sense that we're drawing down from Pnimius, through the study of Torah, we're mamshich a crown. What did we say earlier? By saying Kadosh, 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 the first Kadosh is an elevation. You're really connecting to Chachma itself. You're mamshich keser into Chachma. The second keser is being mamshich a keser to the Ze'er Anpin. That's what we learned. So he's saying now that happens through Al Yidei Esek HaTorah. What's the connection? Because, listen to the connection. Why is it that through Limud HaTorah you're mamshich keser? What's the shaychus? She says, because let's take a look where Torah comes from. The Eiraisa Mechachma Nafkis. Torah comes from the Eibishter's Chachma. So we can understand that when you're learning Chachma, when you're learning Torah, you're downloading Chachma. Right? That's understood. Okay. The Iker Limud HaTorah. And now, what does it have to do with being mamshich a keser to the Ze'er Anpin? So let's see in a second. The Iker Limud HaTorah hu lahavina al baria. Now the main learning of Torah is not just to hear a concept. The main idea of learning Torah is to actually analyze it and understand it, and really get a good grip on it. That's why in Limud HaTorah you're supposed to learn again and again and again until you really feel that you have it. Lahavina al burya, to understand it thoroughly. Nimtza comes out. What you're doing in this process is you have to realize this idea is a fascinating idea. Everything that's happening in your own mini little world is reflecting in the macro on an infinite level. So when a Yid is learning Torah, downloading in his own mind from Chachma, but he's also understanding it, because he's learning it until he really gets it, it means he's mamshech from Chachma to Bina. He's taking a Torah thought and fleshing it out with all the details. So up there in heaven, he causes the energy to flow from Chachma to Bina. Good. Where does the crown to the Ze'er Anpin come from? What did we say earlier? If you remember, we went over it briefly today. U'metiferes the Bina, the Kabbalistic concept, from the Tiferes element of Bina. Now, once the Orein Soif is in Bina, and it permeates all the 10 spheros of Bina, from the Tiferes of Bina, Tiferes, a splendor, can come a crown. Nasa keser lazah. Comes a keser to the Ze'er Anpin. Now, where does the Ze'er Anpin come in over here when you're learning Torah? Where is the Ze'er Anpin coming? I understand. Chachma is being drawn to the Bina, but that's it. Where is the next stage happening? Why is it going down to the Zeir Anpin? So he doesn't say, but I would imagine. The Jew is the Zeir Anpin. Who's the Zeir Anpin? The Zeir Anpin are the 6 emotions, which is called Yisroel, Yaakov. That's a Yid. The Yid, a woman comes from Malchus, and a man comes from the Zeir Anpin. And that's why women are not obligated in learning Torah. It's a man's a mitzvah to learn Torah. So when the man is learning Torah, and he's nimshach from Zeir Anpin, and he's drawing the light down from Chachma to Bina, and then onto his neshama. So that's the reason why Teferes, the Bina, becomes a Keser Lazah. And we might even say, what's the Teferes of Bina? What's the Teferes of Bina? The Teferes to Bina is the splendor that there is in Bina. The splendor of understanding. When a Yid learns and he understands something well, and he can give over afterwards a shir, there's a certain splendor, there's a beauty to it. It's like a person marvels at the beauty of Torah. The shape, literally the splendor, the yoifi of the idea shows itself. And that adorns the person. It adorns the person that's learning. We're not talking about someone who's learning for self-aggrandizement, but that just happens, but derech memela, that a Talmud Chacham, a person which learns and knows learning, is in a sense beautiful. The knowledge makes him beautiful. It's the binas, that the Teferes the bina, that adorns his, and that's the keser to the Zeir Anpin. Good. But through the actions, the physical mitzvahs, mamshichen, we draw down sheyikeser lenukva. We draw down the crown further. It's one thing to have a crown on the Zeir Anpin, which, by the way, means. Let's just stop for 1 second. The crown that's coming down from to Zeir Anpin, we just traced it first from Chachma to Bina to the Zeir Anpin. The emes is, it's a crown. It's a crown means it's not coming from Chachma. It's coming from the Orin Seif. Higher than Chachma. It's coming from Keser Elyon. But that has to do with what we said earlier. The first Kaddish stimulates a whole new flow from Keser to Chachma. It causes a new download into the very, very, very beginnings of existence. That's the initial Keser. That's the Ratzon of the Eibishter to be involved in the world, which comes from a Jew's Mesiras Nefesh, from a Yid yearning and pining for the Orin Sof. That's the Mesiras Nefesh by Echad. That pulls the Keser down into Chachma. That stimulates Chachma, new insight in Torah, in Chachma. Chachma passes it to Bina when a Yid learns Torah, understands it. And then it goes down, and it becomes the Keser to Zeir Anpin. And what it really means, a Keser Zampin, means that the Eibishter has, we'll see later in the Maimer, the Eibishter has a Ratzon in the Midos. The Eibishter has which is really ultimately the Ratzon in the world of Atzilus. The Eibishter should want the world of Atzilus. And if the Eibishter wants the world of emanation, he wants to emanate his splendor, the Midos, then eventually is the next stage that the Eibishter should want actual creation. If the Eibishter is not in the mood, if the Eibishter is lethargic, if God is like, then the world is dead. We have to create this every day. Every day it should be an excitement mitzad Orin Soif, a new energy, a new flow. There is a connection. It begins with us. It's all dependent on us. As he says later in the Maimer, that initially when the Eibishter created the world, it was his own project. It was self-stimulated. But now it needs to be stimulated every day. So you start with davening, then you learn Torah. But here we're holding by the third stage. Hold on. And through physical mitzvahs, mamshich, we draw down sheyeh kesel and nukva, that the crown should go down, which means the ratzon, that very amshacha that you touched by the Shema, should go down lenukva to the female, to malchus, shehu lebchinas malchus, which is to malchus, Makar de Biyah, the source of Bri, Yatzir, and Asiya. This is what it says in the Zohar that we learned, that I quoted to you last time we learned. Sham over there, lekatsha, that the point of it going down to this madrega is lekatsha, to sanctify. Kula, all of them, letata below. Below means the worlds. Bria, Yetzir, and Asiya. And lekatsha means to imbue them with kodesh. What's kodesh? Kodesh is the light of Keser and the light of Chachma. That the Chachma and the Keser and the infinite one should flow all the way down into the Olamos, into the worlds. So Bekitzer, we accomplish this all by saying 3 times Kaddish. That's the shortcut. The long way is Mesiras Nefesh by Kriya Shema, the first Kaddish. Learning Torah the rest of the day, or a nice portion of the day, is the next Kaddish, and the final Kaddish is doing mitzvahs. And a Jew lived a very fulfilling life of Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish. That's what it means to be a Yid. Nimtza comes out, Am Shachash al Yedei HaTorah, comes out that the Hamshacha, that's through Torah, who Pnimius. That's the more Pnimius the Hamshacha. She Hamshachas HaKeser v'Harotzain. Here, through Limud HaTorah, you're drawing down the Keser and the Rotzain. B'pchenas Atzilus. Atzilus in general is called Pnimius. It's the world of Atzilus. Val Yedei HaMitzvahs, but then through actual performance of mitzvahs, Shenimshach HaKeser l'Nukva, you're drawing the crown down lower to the feet, down to the Nukva, to the female. Makar de Biyah, which is Malchus, she's the source of Bria, Yetzir, and Asiya. Zaham Shacha B'chitzaynius, you're drawing it down more into the external element, into the outer crust of existence. However, it's explained elsewhere. So it seems like what? Torah is much higher. You're mamshech in the inside, in the oilam esalyonim, and pnimiyas. Now the Rebbe dances back to the other dixel to tell you how mitzvahs are really greater. Why? Every level that has the ability to what? To be nishpal and to lower itself down, lamata yoiser, to go down to a lower state. Sharsha gevoya v'nayla yoiser. Everything that extends itself lower really has a higher shirish. The fact that mitzvahs are able to go down, 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 and bring God's light in Keser all the way down into Nukva, into Malchus, which is called Aretz, and via Malchus into the world. And when we say into the world, we don't only mean the celestial realms. We mean all the way down, that the bracha should come down in gashmiistic things, like it says this week in the parsha. V'nasati gishmeichem be'itam, I will give you gashmias, I will give you rain, I'll give you all the way down. V'nasna aretz yavula. So in order that the Hamshacha should come all the way down, must mean that the shirish is coming from a higher place. Which, by the way, he explained it earlier, that the shirish of a mitzvah, which draws the light down all the way into Keser, is all the way to Malchus, is drawing from Keser. Torah is only drawing from Chachma, and mitzvahs are drawing from Keser, from a higher place. So the mile of mitzvahs is not only that you're actually drawing it lower, you're drawing from a higher place because it needs a higher koyach to come down lower. V'gam, and another thing, another mila that there is in mitzvahs, shekol bechinu madrega hanayla yoiser. I made a mistake in my previous, because it seems to me that he's redundant and saying the same thing twice, but in different words, but it's not. So let me just reread the previous line. When he says shekol b'china madrega shu nishpeles lamata yoiser shor shegavoy v'nayla yoiser, is not that the mitzvahs are able to go down, that the mitzvahs are able to descend down lower. You see from later in the Maimer, I think the kavan over here is that the etzem inyanim in which we're doing the mitzvahs with, the etzem objects in which mitzvahs are being done, which are the substances of this world, their shirish is from a higher place. The second thing that I just said is what he's saying now, what he's saying in a moment. The fact that the Ratzon Elyon, that the Eibishter desires a physical action, and that means that the Oyer Eliki is going all the way down, down, down into the world of Asiya, or as we said earlier, it's bringing a Keser into Malchus. That's the second thing he says. Yes, it takes a higher power to go down lower. There's another inyan. What's the other inyan? Everything that is nishpeles, things that are really low, low, low in this world, have really a higher, higher source. So what that would mean is that the gashmiistic things with which we do mitzvahs, they really, really are rooted in a very, very high place. And therefore, there is an advantage to asiyas mitzvahs, to doing of mitzvahs over even limud Torah. So that's the first thing. Shekol b'china madrega shu nishpelas lamata yoyser shorsha gavoy v'nayla yoyser as a higher shirish. Like he brings in the parentheses. How do I know that's what he's talking about? Take a look in the parentheses here. The Tzemach Tzedek is mitzayin. V'ayim hashakasa b'apasik v'yidaber moishel roshei amatos me'inyan doimim tzomei achai medaber shehem al derech zeh. In the idea of domim, the inanimate, someach, the plant, and the chai, and the animal, and the medaber, we see that the lowest is the domim. Everybody steps on domim. Domim can't even fight for itself. Domim is nebach, But yet the domim supports everything. We all would be out of business without the domim. Without the domim, no one is. We're not making it anywhere. We don't even begin to survive. All of our nourishment comes from the earth. So what is the low? And the earth doesn't need anybody. Everybody can disappear from the earth, and the earth can live very nicely without anybody, without animals, without plants, without anything. So it doesn't need anything for its survival. But the medaber is very needy. He needs the daimim. He needs all of them. He needs the tzomeach, he needs the chai, and he needs. So we see that it's an upside down world. What is lower here is really because in its source is higher. That's the first inyan. And the second inyan is shekol bechino madrega hanai leyoser, things that are higher. Yechoyle lishpal. That's talking about the mitzvah. The mitzvah, because it's a ratzon elyon, because it's a very high thing, it's able to lower itself down. V'leided lamata yoser. It's able to go down lower. So really, we're going to analyze it from two sides. Let me explain this for a moment. The quality that he's going to explain in the mitzvahs is twofold. Number one, mitzad the etzim inyan of the ratzon elyon. Forget about the action, what you're doing. The ratzon elyon, the supernal will of God, is that you should do an action. The fact that the Eibishter is considering something so low must be that that means that the Eibishter is attaching himself to something very low, to an action, to a physical activity, which doesn't happen when you're learning Torah. Because when you're learning Torah, the Eibishter is engaging you on a more spiritual plane, in the plane of your mind, which is not physical. Here the Eibishter is engaging you in an action, in a material, physical action. So the fact that the Eibishter can come down so low, that's a sign that the energy in the mitzvah is higher than the energy of Torah. The godly light, the source of it, is in a higher place. Number one. Number two, Gashmius itself. Let's set aside mitzvahs. Gashmius itself has a very, very high shorish. And the physical things but even though it has a very high shorish, it is disconnected from its source. Taka very high. But after it's been broken and fallen, as we're soon going to see, it's disconnected. So just playing Gashmius is not taking you anywhere. Just indulging in Gashmius is not really getting you anywhere. But when you do a mitzvah with a davar gashmi, with something physical, then you're allowing this gashmiistic object to reconnect to its source. Its source is higher than all the madregas of ruchnias, than all the spiritual madregas. And that's mitzad, the etzem cheftza of the dvarim gashmiyim, the essential object of the physical material things. So it's hanging mitzad the fact of the ratzon that the Eibishter commands you to do a mitzvah. Mitzad that's higher than the godliness of Torah. and also mitzad the mitzvahs itself. And he's going to explain these two inyanim. V'hainu, as he's saying, this side, the second idea is what? The second idea, however, is really that the Ratzon ha'elyon can come down even in davar gashmias. Al derech vavarti be'eretz Mitzrayim ani v'loy malach. It says by the night of Makas Bechoros, the night of the Pesach, the killing of the firstborn, it says that the Eibishter says, I will go down to the land of Egypt, I and not an angel. Why is it the Eibishter himself and not an angel? Because it says an angel would have become corrupted. Had an angel gone down to Mitzrayim, the angel would have become corrupted. Because the angel is not high enough, and therefore, if he would go down to this low, it would be broken. Only the Eibishter can go down so low and not be affected. There's all kinds of Chassidim. In general, in the world, there's different types of Chassidim. And we know that they're divided mainly in Chabad, and then there is Chagas. And Chagas are called the Polish Chassidim. The general Chassidim, all the different segments. Chabad Chassidim. What's the difference? In Chabad, you learn Chassidus. It's more an inyan of Moichin. Others have more the inyan of a Rebbe and the songs and the energy and certain darkei Chassidus. It's short teachings, but not so much the development of Chabad. So what do we see in the world? Right before Mashiach comes, the Dafka the Chabad Chassidim are the ones that are sent across the world where there is no Jews, places that are very, very far. And generally, a Yid would be alone in a place where there's no Yiddishkeit. After a while, you'd start seeing that the person is getting impacted and less Jewish and less Jewish and less Jewish. And yet, the Rebbe sends out shluchim across the world, and not only don't they become less Jewish, they make the whole town Jewish. So how do they do that? And the answer is, Kol ha'gavoya b'yoser, yachaledet b'yoser. Chabad Chassidus opens you up to a much higher, deeper place. When you learn Chassidus and you're enriched with such deep teaching, it empowers you to be able to go far away and go to a lower place, a darker place. And nish nispol werden from the place is not nispal, but you affect it. There's an old Chassidish word that says, Az panim legehenim. Boishes panim leganeden. Simple meaning is that someone who's bashful and is very, I don't know what the right word would be, not, these people go to Gan Eden, they behave. But people that are az panim, people that are mechutzafim, brazen like chutzpinyaks, they'll end up in Gehenna. But there's a Chassidish word, maybe from Reb Zusha, I'm not sure who it is from. Az panim means if someone has a firm, az means hard, panim means pnimius. Someone has a strong pnimius, legehenim. He can go down in Gehenim and do his avodah even in Gehenim. Boishes panim. If you have a soft pnimius, you get overwhelmed. You can't do that. So that's the avodah over here. Is kol ha'gvoya b'yoser, yachaledet lamata yoser. So then, only a malach couldn't go down. That's why we know a malach can't go on shlichus. Malachim can't even come into this world. Only neshamas can come down in this world and be yidden down here. The same is also kam b'inyan mitzvahs ma'asiyos. The same is also in mitzvahs ma'asiyos. The fact that that the godliness is able to come down so low is because it's higher. Mitzvahs, but now he's first going to explain the first inyan that he said. And what's the first inyan? That the etzem inyanim gashmiim, the fact that mitzvahs are done with physical materials, is an indication of how high they really come from. Because gashmius itself has a very high shorish. Because mitzvahs are all in physical material things. Tzitzis mitzemer gashmi. tzitzis from physical wool. V'chein klaf ha-tefillin, and the same is also the parchment of which the tefillin is written on. V'hainu, I made a mistake. He's not yet discussing that second idea, which is that the klipas noiga, that they're fallen. He's saying the etzem inyan that the Eibishter attaches, the mitzvah, the Eibishter's will expresses itself, attaches itself to a physical action, that itself is showing that he's coming down lower. Because the ratzon, it's coming from a higher place. Yoiser ma'achachma, as we said earlier. Torah comes from chachma, but mitzvahs come from keser. L'chein Torah, the machachma nafkis, Torah that stems from chachma, loy nishpala kol kach lamata. The holiness of Torah doesn't connect to physical actions. Where does the holiness of Torah connect to? Where is the godliness of Torah taking place? In the mind of the person learning it. Or maybe even in the tongue of the person learning. But tongue is not so low as other things. It's more of it's in a higher, more elevated element of the human being. Kamaya mitzvahs, like mitzvahs which get into the grubbiness of the world. V'hainu kimaisa mitzvahs, because the actions of mitzvahs hem nishpelu b'dvarim shetachas mamshelas klipas noiga. And that is because the actions of mitzvahs have nishpelu, they have been lowered down into things that are under the kingdom, under the dominion rather of klipas noiga, of klipa. Now, we know you can't do a mitzvah with stuff that come from sholish klipas atmeas. Stuff that come from the real three impure klipas, those things you can't do a mitzvah with. But klipas noiga is pretty low. And we're dealing with things that come from klipas noiga. And where does klipas noiga come from? Shum shviras hakelim, these are from the shattered vessels. Because we learned this many times, how can they even exist klipa? Klipa means a shell, a blockage on God. It's because there is a lot of breakage in God's world. And what's that breakage? The shviras hakelim that happened. Shenaflu b'klipas noiga, that fell into klipas noiga. And what is the idea of mitzvahs? To redeem these sparks, to reconnect those things that are fallen. But here is the rule. He's now explaining the other side of why mitzvahs are so high. Because even mitzad the etzem cheftza, the etzem objects, even though they're now in a very pathetic, lowly, coarse, and God-obscuring state, bipnimius, in their shoirish, they come from the highest place. Because before the vessels of Toyu shattered, that was a much higher expression of the Ein Sof than the Olam HaTikun. In Olam HaTikun, the Eibishter was harnessing himself, restraining himself dramatically. In the world of Toyu, the Eibishter let himself free. He expressed his intense lights. And these broken stuff, they come from that intense expression. It broke because it couldn't handle it, but yet it once was in the vicinity or in contact with the very, very intense lights of Toyu. And therefore the Gashmiistic things have enormous potential. Because before the Shvira, because they shattered, they were b'madrega gavoya ma'od naila. They were in a very, very, very high level. They were from the world of chaos. Shehu b'chenas nekudim, which in Kabbalah there is a concept called Olam HaNekudim. Three worlds: Olam HaAkudim, Olam Nekudim, and Olam HaBrudim. Where are these words come from? It has to do with Yaakov Avinu. When Yaakov Avinu was being Isaac with the sheep of Lavan, it says that he saw the different certain sheep were akud. They had like a ring on the rings on their feet. There were other ones that were nekudim. They had spots, and then there were ones that had brudim. Brudim means blotches. And so Yaakov Avinu was busy, and the Torah doesn't just talk about it. So it says that Yaakov Avinu was being Isaac in these three olamais, in these three worlds. We're not going to talk about olam ha'akudim. for now, because the Maayon doesn't focus on that. We'll talk about the Olam Nekudim and Brudim. What they really mean is Toyu and Tikkun. Nekudim means spots. In Olam HaToyu it says, the problem with Olam HaToyu was that each sphera was only a Nekuda, it wasn't a Partzuf. A Nekuda means that the spheres were very, very, very sharp and pointy. In the sense, poignant. They didn't develop themselves in a way where each one can have nuances of the other ones. In other words, the idea of chesed shebechesed and gevura shebechesed and tefera shebechesed, the nuanced elements of spheres enable that we should be able to find points of context and be able to connect opposite spheres with each other. Because when Chachma discovers within itself Bina, and Bina discovers within itself Chachma, so the Chachma of Bina and the Bina of Chachma can somehow relate to each other. Or when we talk about Chesed and Gevura, the Gevura Shebe Chesed and the Chesed Shebe Gevura can talk with each other. Because they have a certain similarity. As opposed to when the Gevura is just Gevura and you don't see the details. So there's just the Gevura, the oyer, the intense, the light is so intense Gevura, so it's extreme Gevura, and Chesed is so opposite. And I'll give you an example. Enemies that have people that fight, people that have, they hate each other. Two different, if they would only sit down and start talking about the problems they have in their life and the details, and they would find so much common ground in which they can build bridges with each other. It's only that when you don't talk out the details, and you don't start elaborating and getting into all the specifics, and you're only working with the intense emotion of whatever, the general emotion, it clashes, and that's what you have. You have countries that have been at war with each other for such a long time. So they would sit down and they would see, hey, the other person has the same concerns with his children and with this and with this. And, you'd start seeing and ways we can help each other and ways that we can work, even though we have different aspirations and different ideals. But there's a lot of common grounds, a lot of points where where there can be coexistence and, quite on the contrary, interdependence, if you can say, one on the other, and so on and so forth. There's what to build. That you have to detail it out. That's the chidush of Olam HaTikkun. In Olam HaTikkun, every sphera emerged with all of its, with all the details of it. And because it was a parts of one parts of can connect to the next parts of, and it became a huge configuration. That's blotches, as opposed to a point. The rings are where all the spheres are in one keli. That's still a primordial state where there were 10 oiros in one keli, akud bekeli echad, as opposed to in Toyer it's already each oir has its own keli, and in Tikkun they don't only have the kelim are behiskalalus, one keli with the other keli, so all the kelim are fully developed. And in Akudim, it's a potential where they're all in one potential. So it's still before the Shvira, whatever. We learned Amarim on that, but that's fine. So that's the idea of Nakudim. So all the stuff that shattered, that are broken from the physical world, they come from this world of Nikudim. And the world of Nikudim, on the one hand, as we said before, they didn't tolerate each other. But on the other hand, the energy was very potent. When you come into the world of partsufim, of details and so on and so forth, you have to slow down the energy. The kalim start becoming very pronounced, and it's like two people fighting. Once you start breaking down into details, they lose their potency, and even if each one wants what they want, because it became so scattered and so nuanced, you realize that the energy is not as intense. That's why children are far more intense, because they're not detailing things. They're like, and when you said you're planning a trip, yeah, you go there. And then when you start detailing, you have to eat this, you need this, and so suddenly that energy is like diffused. It's still energy, but doesn't have that same, yeah. So that's the way it is. So, but the stuff of Gashmi has come from that intense world. And that's why we react to them with such intensity. In any case, which is the world of the Kudim Shalamaylam Atzilus that's higher than Atzilus. Brudim. The world of Atzilus is already the blotches. It's already a Elchein, and therefore we find Taka. Ha'adam, a human being who is more of an entity of Atzilus. Our neshamas come from Atzilus. Makabul Chayus, yet we receive our sustenance, Venizan, and we're sustained Mitzaymeach and Chai, from the vegetation and from the animals, which are much lower. Because they come from the world of Nikudim. They come from the intense energy. And Ad Kedei Kach, and it's not only that we're physically nurtured by it. It's one thing to have physical energy and life, but even Chachma is added to us. When we eat Gashmias, it adds more wisdom. And Chazal say that a child does not know how to call father, doesn't recognize or can't articulate father, until he begins to taste grain. It means he needs the Gashmiastic of food to enhance his Chachma. And spiritually too. Eating of matzah, no matter how holy of a soul you are, no matter how spiritual you are, and you want to, like, by the Agada, soar up to the highest heavens, if you don't physically munch that cracker, you're not getting the amunah injected in your neshama. You can't do it through spiritual exercises. It needs to have that box of matzahs opened up and those crackers eaten and dafka there. Which is the food of Emunah. It's through the physical cracker that you get this incredible enhancement in your neshama. Even those that are mamish directly delivered here from Atzilus, most of us, even though we come from Atzilus, that's already old history. Somehow we change very much until our neshama comes down here. So we're not really called neshamas of Atzilus. But even the super souls like Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, tzaddikim like that, the neshamas of Atzilus, mamish, even Moshe Rabbeinu, a super neshama of Atzilus, he too needed to eat the physical. He needs to gain from that physical cracker. Think about it. Steht Moshe Rabbeinu, steht a matzah, and Moshe Rabbeinu is, in a sense, his neshama is inferior to the matzah. Because there is something in that matzah that Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't have. And that is, Moshe doesn't have access to Olam HaTorah. And the matzah does. Because the amunah that is derived from eating the matzah, which is the food of faith, is from a world, from a level that's high, way beyond Atzilus. It's rooted in the world of Toyu. However, but now la'achar hashvira. Now that Olam HaToyu collapsed, and things became, disenfranchised, things became separated and fragmented. They're very distant from the Orein Sof. Shenaflu b'shvira b'klipas noiga. Now they're in a klipa state. When you meet Moshe Rabbeinu, we would be trembling in awe in front of God. And when you meet a matzah, after you do a mitzvah, it has a spiritual effect on you. But you eat a matzah, you can be thinking about, cream cheese, am I smearing on the matzah, peanut butter or avocado? Nothing godly happened just because you ate that matzah. Or you looked at that matzah. Because now the matzah finds itself in a non-godly state. Shehem b'shvira maklipas noiga. Avo kishem is badadim. But when they become elevated, refined, when you peel the klipa away, how? They're doing a mitzvah. Ayadei shem ma. Shem ma is who? That's the Adam. That's the person eating the matzah. Or the Torah is called Adam, like we discussed in many shiurim recently. Through the Torah, which is the Eibishter's Chachma, that tells us instructions of how to make the matzah and eat the matzah exactly according to the mitzvah. And the Jew doing it. In other words, you need an entity of tikkun to fix the broken, shattered pieces of Toyu. So who's tikkun? Torah is tikkun. And Adam is tikkun. The Yidden are tikkun. Adam, ki b'chachma is beriru. Because all birurim, all refinement comes in chachma. And that is through the first Kaddish. What did we say is the first Kaddish? The first Kaddish is the recognition that happens both by the Jew, by the Malachim, and in the Spherois of Atzilus. They're all elevated into Chachma. They're all elevated into the experience that Hu Levadei Hu V'Ein Zulasa. He is Einoid Mavad. There's nothing but the Eibishter. They all come to a state of complete debitel of Koyach Ma. I am what? Totally nullified to God. That's the bittel of Chachma. That's the meaning of Kaddish. So when we say Kaddish, and we elevate, and we're elevated, but hold it. How's the matzah elevated? That's the person elevated in the first Kaddish. So it looks like that what he's talking about over here is the inyanim of klipas noiga that are elevated through the bittul of ma, which is, we said before, through the first Kaddish, is because when a yid in this world says Kaddish, the first Kaddish, or Kriya Shema, and has that bittul, he is a Jew who has been sustained, who had already ingested in yanim of, first of all, he has a body, number one, and a nefesh Bahamas that comes from klipas noiga, and a body, and he ate food yesterday. Not necessarily that he ate the matzah yet, but he ate food yesterday, and that food that he ate yesterday is part of his physical makeup, which is part now of his, which this physical energy is now being assimilated into his spiritual consciousness, which is now leading him to the say Shema Yisroel Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, which is the idea of the first Kaddish. So now he's elevated the broken, he reconnected the nitzutz of Toyu to its source. This is the elevation of the Vav, B'kodesh Elyon, into the supernal Kodesh. And when he, what did we say earlier? As a result of this upload, what does it cause? It causes a download. What's the download? That the Oirein Seif that's higher than Chachma comes gushing into Chachma, causes Chachma to unify with Bina, and we draw down Eibishter into the... Right? So, that's interesting. The main potency, the Rebbe is now introducing an interesting idea. The main potency of the Mesiras Nefesh that a Yid has be'echad is not the fact that his neshama is in a state of bittul to echad. Not necessarily, that's going to reach Chachma, but not necessarily going to stimulate beyond Chachma. Because the neshama is mushrish and Chachma, and olam hatikun. It's the potato chips you ate yesterday that are going along with this. That's the calories that you're burning in it. That's the amazing thing. It's the physical calories that are being burnt in this echad. That's really what's creating the entire storm. Look what he says. Shem is baradim, that they're being elevated. Hem is alim, they're being elevated. Lemekoiram v'sharsham, to their source and to their root. Shem samach gimel, the name sag. In general, we spoke about this many times, that there are four main manifestations based on the three worlds that we spoke about earlier. Akudim, Nikudim, Brudim, that really translates into four names of God. What are the four names? I am Beis, 72. All the gematria of Yud Kei Vav Kei, but depending how you fill Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay? We're not going to go through it right now. It's one way when you fill the Yud Kei Vav Keis with Yuds, you get 72. Another way when you fill the Yud Kei Vav Keis with also with Yuds, but the Vav is with an Aleph, you get 63. And then Miloi Hey and Miloi Alephs is 45. And Miloi Hayes, when you fill the Hayes with Hayes, is 52. Shem Ban. How do they correspond? So it's interesting. Ayin Beis is the highest. Ayin Beis is the world of Akudim. It's a state where it's still Lifnei Hashvira. It's still before the shattering of the vessels. That's Ayin Beis. Samach Gimel is the world of Toyu, where the energy was before it broke. So the energies of Tohu are expressed in all of its intensity. That's Samach Gimel. When Samach Gimel, that's the name Samach Gimel. That's the name that dominated in the world of Toyu.
When Samach Gimel's collapsed and broke, it's the fallen shards that's related to Shem Ban. That's below the world of Tikkun. That's the klip. That's the brokenness that needs to be fixed. Shem Ban needs to be fixed. That's the broken pieces of. So Ban is a derivative. 52 is a derivative of 63. It's after 63 exploded. The remnants of it, the debris, if we can call, of 63 is 52, for whatever reason. 45 is the world Olam Habrudim, the blotches, the world of configuration, the world of Tikkun. Ma, 45 is Gematria Ma, that's where the Neshama comes from, that's where Torah comes from, is the world of Tikkun. So when Ma is applied to Ban, which means the Shviris HaKelim of 52, when Ma picks up these pieces that have come to us in all the physical stuff that we accumulate in our life, but then we apply our neshama consciousness to them, and primarily we come to a state of pure Ma, which is by Shema Yisroel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, then the Ban energies are reunited back up with Samach Gimel. When they go back up in Samach Gimel, they draw down from Samach Gimel into Ma. And when Samach Gimel energy flows into Ma, it's Ein Sof. Because the Oires Tetoyu, that's what the Rebbe meant when the Rebbe said, bring Mashiach by bringing the Oires Tetoyu, Bekelim the Tikkun. Go fetch those intense lights of Toyu, but bring them into the Kelim of Tikkun. The Shorsham, as he says over here, Shem Samach Gimel. It's the name of Samach Gimel. Shelamayla Mema, which is much higher than the name of 45. V'oz hem nailem atzilus. Then all these, the doimim tzemeach, all these things, they're much higher than Natzilus, even the Moshe Rabbeinu's neshama. Sha'oz miskarvim, because dafka the cornflakes, miskarvim, they come close lo'orein seif baruch. They come close to the orein seif because that's what Toyu was. Toyu was the orein seif not being hindered, expressing itself with all of its intensity. Is if miskarvim lo'orein seif ulechein al yedei aliyas man hanal. Therefore, through this aliyah. Man means Maayon nukfen, of these feminine waters, what we're lifting up. Mamshichem hayichud da'aba ve'ima. So we draw down new light into Chachma, and Chachma passes that down to Bina, and that's called the yichud of father and mother, and that's a whole new energy in the cosmos. Shamakar hamshacha, the root of where it's really being drawn, is Mahamatzil ha'elyon, from the supernal emanator, the Eibishter himself, L'mayla mahachachma, which is way, way above Chachma. I mashakasa bebira pasuk ve'eya etzlei omoin bepirush. Look in the Maayon of ve'eya etzlei omoin in the pirush of the pasuk, I think in Parshas Emor. It says, "Mimoishvoisechem taviu lechem tenufa." Pasuk that's talking about, I think, the shtei alechem of Shavuos. Either the Shtei Alechem of Shavuos or the Omer of Pesach. Then on Pesach they offered a measure of barley called the Omer. That's what we're doing now, Sfiras Omer. And on Shavuos they offered two breads. They didn't offer it, but they brought two breads. The Pasuk says you should bring it from your settlements. Simply it means you're now allowed to bring it from outside of Eretz Yisroel. It has to be brought from Eretz Yisroel. From your settlements, that's where you have to bring the wheat for the Shtei Alechem. Chassidus explains. Where are you going to bring lechem, this new infusion of divine light? Where are you going to bring it? Mimosh v'seichem, from your Kriya Shema. And if you look in the Sidurim that have a little bit more Kabbalah, it says that by Shemona Esrei is called the Amida. You're supposed to stand. Why? Because you're in Atzilus. In Atzilus, there's no sitting. There's only standing. In Olam Abriya, they were sitting. It's called Olam Akisei, the Olam of the throne. That's why we know that people. It says so. Those who are, it says that during Shema we should sit. And by Shemona Esrei we stand up. There's actually akpada. Even if you're standing by Pasuk de Zimra, you should really. It's molachat chila to sit down by Yotzer Or, and to say Birchas Kriya Shema sitting. And then afterwards, by Shema, you stand. By Shemona Esrei, you stand up. So Mimosh Voiseichem means from from your sitting exercise, which is where? By the Kriya Shema, which is the Mesiras Nefesh Be'echad that we spoke about earlier. Taviu, from that yeshiva, the experience, because in that sitting, you're lifting up Mitzutze Kedusha from whatever you've gathered into Echad. From that, Taviu Lechem, this is where you're going to bring the whole Hashpah. Shazeh Inyan Kriya Shema. Mamoshoy Sechem is the Inyan of Kriya Shema. Yichud Abba ve'Ima, which is the Yichud, and actually, where do you see the Yichud Abba and Ima? Shema Yisroel, Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem is Chachma, Elokeinu is Bina. So Shema Yisroel, Hashem Elokeinu is the Yichud of. Shanim Shech Daika, which is Dafka drawn, Ayadei Bittel Hayesh. That's the what excites the Matzil Ha'elyon. He said, really, where's the Amshacha coming from? Where is it coming from? Where is it starting? He's saying from the Eibishter himself. What excites the Eibishter? Dafka Ayadei Bittel Hayesh. When the brokenness, when the broken stuff of the world, when the stuff coming from Klippa have an aliyah. How do they have an aliyah? When they're bottled, when the yesh, when the real grubkite of the world becomes elevated and refined and recognizes the emes of Elokus, that's the bit. Bittul ayesh, bitter, which is also in Kabbalistic terminology, is bitter, haresh peches netzutzin. It's when you elevate the 288 sparks, which is the amount it's hinted to in the words, Veruach Elokim mirachefes al pnei hamayim. Mirachefes is reish peches meis. Mirachefes. You ever heard that? Veruach Elokim mirachefes al pnei hamayim. Mirachefes, the Arizal says, is reish peches. 288 sparks, meis died. That's the sparks that fallen. The pasuk before that says, Va'aretz ha'isatoyu va'avoyu. Veruach, actually not it's the same pasuk. Because as a result of what happened in Olam HaToyu, Merachefes, Reish Peches, Meis. So Toyu is Samach Gimel, Reish Peches, Meis, that's already Ban. And that needs a tikkun. In any case, so these are the Reish Peches Nitzutzin that are elevated. And this is what it says in Eitz Chaim. Sham Shochas HaKeser Le'eses Sfiris the tikkun. So this whole idea is stated in Kabbalistic terminology in the Arizal, in Eitz Chaim, that the drawing down of Keser to the Eser Spheres. What does it mean, Keser to Eser Spheres? Eser Spheres are very, very limited. Drawing the Keser to them means their entire neshama, imbuing them with energy, with life. Hugam came mibirurim the olam hatoyu. The Keser itself would lose interest in the Eser Spheres. It has Eser Spheres is tiny, insignificant compared to Keser, to the Orein Sof. You need something powerful to attract it. Well, when the Eser Spheres, the Tikkun, are serving as an upload for cornflakes, as we said earlier, and potato chips, that causes the Orein Sof to be drawn down. Because it's gashmiistic, grub of things that should have made us grub and less sensitive to Elokus. And yet when a Yid eats a cookie, and the next day he davens with that cookie, oy gewalt. Oy gewalt. So when I used to teach, 10 years ago, I went to, maybe more than 10 years ago, it must have been about 15 years ago, I was in a program in the summer teaching in the Catskills in a place called Tannersville. There was a program there for girls. It was like a summer program for girls that came to learn for them. So I remember there was a brilliant Russian girl from Boston. I haven't heard from her in a long time since then. Brilliant. She was by all my Chassidus classes. Every morning we would learn Chassidus. I like eating, what should I tell you? I would wake up in the morning and I would go eat mezainis, and then I would give my share. Then I would daven. But first I had to eat a little mezainis. And one morning I was looking for a cookie. And I was getting upset that there was not. I wasn't upset. I was saying, like, what happened? Who took the cookies? And she couldn't get over this, that this rabbi who teaches this esoteric teachings about this is busy with his cookie. She was going, oh yeah, cookie. I see, and I always felt bad since then, you know. I see the Eibishter is also excited about a cookie. Without a cookie, nothing is going. Okay, now I feel a little better. It says over here, the ganza hamshoches hakeser le'eses sfiris tetikun, hu gam kein mibirudim the olam de toyu. Without the cookie, nothing is happening. It's from the birudim of the world of toyu. Atik, the tikkun, it says that atik of tikkun, lokach hei rishoynois the keser de ban. It's a Kabbalistic term, exactly what it means, is that the atik, which is the keser being connecting to tikkun, is taking the 5 first spheroids of keser of ban, which ban is the broken inyanim that need to be elevated. And that's how the atik of tikkun, I didn't look up exactly the thing, but it seems something like that. Dafka from the birudim of the 288 nitzutzim. Shebeshvira, that is from the world that is broken. Yecholim lahamshich hakeser liyut spheres the tikkun. Can you draw down a keser to the 10 spheres of tikkun? V'hainu metama now. It's all because of what we said earlier. Shala achar shemizbaredim. After they're elevated, they get close to their source in Olam Hatoyu. P'chines Nikudim, which as we said earlier is called the world of Nikudim. Which is way above the world of Tikkun, which is the world of Berudim. That's why with them and through them is drawn the Keser of Tikkun. So this was all a parenthetical kind of discussion about the Maila of Gashmias and why Gashmias, material, physical world, has such potency. Now we'll return back and understand and appreciate how that applies to a mitzvah. We'll go back to our inyan Maila sa mitzvahs ma'asiyos, in the quality of mitzvahs ma'asiyos. Part of what makes the mitzvah so powerful and so great is because it is being done with things, with objects, with substances, whether it's the flour for the matzah, whether it's the leather for the tefillin, whatever it is, whether it's the food for Shabbos eating, whatever the mitzvah is. Shenafal, these are all entities. Shenafal tachas mamshelas klipas noiga, that has fallen under the dominion of klipas noiga. Shehem shviras hakelim, which they are all from the shattered vessels. Kamay klafat tefillin, like the parchment of tefillin, the tzemer, the tzitzis, and the wool of tzitzis, chen kulam, and so all of them. Vehem bitter valos mohus hadavar atzmoi shenafal b'shvira. And they are elevating the substance of the thing that fell in the shvira. Now, the Rebbe's, I think the reason why he's emphasizing that it's mohus, because he's going to say soon that in Torah, you also have a little bit of this. When you're learning Torah, are you elevating the substances of Noga? I mean, to a certain degree, just to learn Torah, you need to have physical energy. And you're burning some physical calories in that secret. And that's why you're supposed to actually, not just enough to think, you're supposed to actually say it with your mouth so that you're going to use your physical muscles and create physical energy, that too. But in general, you're not. You're using more your koiches haneshama, your koiches hanefesh in seichel. But there is a certain elevation because the subject matter is the dvarim gashmi. Even though you're not engaging the davar gashmi when you're learning Torah, you're not actually picking up the tefillin when you are learning about tefillin, but the very fact that you're learning about them is already a certain birur in that world of tayu, in the world of shviras hakelim. But it's not the mohus. It's only, you're talking about the metzios of it. You're talking about it. It's not the substance of it. In a mitzvah, you're actually getting to the actual physical materials, the very mohus of the davar gashmi. So the aliyah in klipas noig of klipas noiga into olam hatoyu, into olam hanekudim, is really much higher because you're getting to the very substance of those oiros, of those lights, which is the substance of the oirein seif. And that's the nekud. That fell in the shvira. They're the ones who can draw down the keser. And here's the maila. Remember, we learned another rule. What was the other rule we learned? The higher something comes from, the lower it can extend. So once you do the mitzvah with a davar gashmi, so now you can be mamshech the Eibishter's ratzon down into the world, into a much lower place. Because it's coming from a higher place. The higher something is, the lower it can go. So earlier when we spoke about the higher something is, the lower it can go, is that when something fell low, it must come from a higher place. We're talking about a broken process. But now, we're not talking about breaking, a broken thing. After the broken thing is connected to its source, which is in the doing of a mitzvah, now you're drawing the oil down not through a breakage, but through a direct line. But where is it going? It's not hovering in the spiritual world. It's going down much lower. You have to understand something. For Hashem to come down into the world is a very, very, very big chidush, because it requires a very, very, very powerful concentration and contraction that the Eibishter has to contract himself to be able to immerse himself into the lower world, because the worlds are so nothing compared to him. So Hashem has to really restrain himself to do that. And that takes power. It takes tremezehu givor, to be able to restrain and condense himself. For Hashem to come into Atzilus is not such a yerida like going into Bria Yetzirah and Asiyah, which means going down into Malchus. That takes a tremendous power. And that power can only come from a high place. And the high place is stimulated because you're doing mitzvahs with Varim Gashmiim, which they are stimulating that high place. So that's what it is. It's a cycle. Which is the Malchus of the world of Atzilus. Which is the source of Bria, Tzir, and Asiyah. This is the idea of drawing down the Ratzain. And what does it mean you're drawing down the Keser to Malchus? That the Eibusher should be in the mood of giving us life. Not just in the mood, but he should be excited and driven and have desire to enliven the spirit of the lowly and give us everything that we need. To draw down a flow of energy, of light and life in Bria, Yetzir, and Asiyah. This is a much greater tzimtzum. We're on the top of the page of the next column. This is a much greater tzimtzum than bringing down the keser to the Ze'er Anpin, because that's an Atzilus. Even though Atzilus is also a makar for Biyah, that's why remember we said the 6 emotions are the source of the 6 days and they're the source of time and space, but it's not yet mamish a source of Bria, Tzir, and it's still Atzilus, it's still infinite. And that's why in order for the Hamshacha, for the flow to come down, 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 in mamish materializing the brachas, so this Hamshacha has to come, it has to come from a higher place, because only from a higher place can it go down so low. Like we mentioned above, the dafka called davar gavoya v'nayla yoser. The dafka is something that is higher and more elevated. Yachal lishpoil v'leided lamata yoser, is able to lower itself down and go down lower. And look at the Maayon of Asisa Big Day Kodesh, Bebir al Pasuk Yoinasi, Beinyar Yasi Yefasi. Over there he discusses the singing. And therefore Amshachas Kesel Nukva, to draw down the crown Nukva Zeu Daika Yedei Mitzvahs Maisiyos. It's dafka through the physical mitzvahs. Shehem birer mohus hadavar shenafal b'shviras hakelim. This is a rectification and elevation of the very substance of the matter that fell in shviras hakelim. Sheshar shan gavoya ma'oid, because these sparks of holiness that are embedded in the material physical things, they're very high place. Mesamach Gimel, they come from Samach Gimel, Shalamayla Ma'atzilus, which is above of the world of Atzilus, which we said before is the world of Ma, 45. Al Kainaya, they bitter va'ala zu. Through this bitter and this elevation, we elevate very, very high. Umisham daika, and dafka from this lofty place, nimshach liyas hagiluy lamata. This draws down the revelation to come down below, b'makar debiyah, in the source of Bria, Tzir, and Asiyah. V'ayim hashakasam zeh bebir al pasuk yaviu levush malchus, shehu shehi kamashal avuka. This is like the mashal of a large blaze. The greater the fire is, the farther its light is going to extend. A small flame is only going to illuminate in the immediate surroundings. A huge fire is going to illuminate farther, sort of like our big Lag Baimer fire. The whole place was lit up. And since since it is extending so far, mukhrach, it is, that's a hechrach, or gadol ma'od. If you're seeing a light, a beam of light shining, and it's very far, you know that it must be a very intense light. Kach, so too. Because the root of the mitzvahs are so high, okay, that's why the light can go so far. That the Hamshacha of the Kesser should go all the way down to Malchus, which is the source of Bri Yitzir Nasi. This is the idea of the third Kaddish. It says in Rei Mehemna, in that part of Zohar that we mentioned, it comes down lower to the level of Yisoid, the level of Tzaddik. And what does Yisoid do with it? He sanctifies everything below, which means he sanctifies the worlds. He sanctifies Malchus. He's drawing down the Keser Lenukva to Malchus. Because now in the second Kaddish, what happened? There became a Keser Lizah. From the Teferes of Bina became a Keser to the Zeir Anpin. Now, from the Teferes of the Zeir Anpin becomes a Keser Lenukva. Shem Teferes, the Zeir Anpin, from the Teferes. And the reason why it's all passing through the Teferes is because Teferes is in the center, and therefore all the Kesers go through Teferes. So the Teferes of Bina provides the Keser to the Zeir Anpin. The Teferes of the Zeir Anpin passes, because Teferes is under Keser. As explained in many places in Chassidus, why Teferes has that power to go directly on the Keser. Shem Teferes the Zeir Anpin nase Keser lenukva, becomes the Keser to the crown. V'ayim hashakos ze bebir al pasuk v'yikach korach. V'zehu, and this is the Piddush of the Pasuk. U'lechvoidi, and for my honor, barasiv yitzartiv afasisiv. It's a Pasuk in Yeshaya. It says, for my honor, this pasuk is one of the most famous pasukim quoted in Chassidus all the time. Berasiv, I created it. Yitzartiv, I formed it. Afasisa, which is obviously referring to the three levels of creation. Bria, Yitzir, and Asi. But what's the L'chvoidi? Piddush, Kavod, Ubchenas, Keser. We're talking about, we want it, in order for Bria, Yitzir, and Asi to be alive, there shouldn't be like dead flowers that are already drooping. The whole world shouldn't be dead and drooping. And the world should be alive. What do you need? You need Keser pumping in it. You need the Ebershter's Rotzen in it. That's the idea. L'chvoidi is Keser. And where should the Keser be drawn? Brasiv Yitzartev Afasis. He's going to prove to us that Kvoidi is Keser. Like it says in the Pasuk, Kvoid Chachamim Yinchalu. The honor of Chachamim they will inherit. Sha'achachamim hem Yinchalu as a Kvoid. It says, Kvoid Chachamim Yinchalu. That the Chachamim, they're the ones who Yinchal, they inherit the Kvoid. That means that the Kavod is higher than the Chachamim. What are the Chachamim? Chachamim is Chachma. So what's higher than Chachma? Keser. So you see from here that Kavod is associated with Keser. Heim Yinchalus HaKavod Shu Lamaylam and HaChachma. It's higher than Chachma. Shu B'chinas Keser, which is the level of Keser. And where else do we see that this idea, Kamoi, HaHefresh Bein Anoichi La'ani. Anoichi and Ani are the same word, and they mean the same thing. Ani means I, Ani Hashem Elokechem, Anochi Hashem Elokechem. So what's the difference between Ani and Anochi? So it says as follows. Ani is Malchus. Anochi is Keser Malchus. Anochi is Keser and Ani is Malchus. As he explains why. In simple meaning, what's the difference between the word Ani and Anochi? Ani is when you're saying I am. Anochi is when you're putting on your suit and your tie and you come in, you say, here I am. It's a different type of an I. Here is you're presenting yourself with all your credentials, with all your honor. That's Anochi. So by Matan Torah, the Eibishter gave his entire covet to us. So he says, it's also the same Pirish. It's yourself in a state of kavod and hisnasos. Keser is when you're shining in an exaltedness. Kaf is the Rosh Tevis for Keser, and Rosh Tevis for the word kavod. Kavod Keser. And when you add the Chaf into Ani, you have, that's the Keser. And by the way, Kaf is also Gematria Esrim. Not Gematria. Kaf is, it means 20. And the word for 20 for Chaf is Esrim. And Esrim is Gematria Keser, 620. So these are all the need that the letter Chaf is Shaykh to Keser. It's the Rosh Tevis of the word Keser, Tevis Kavod. So once we know that Kvoidi is Keser, what does it mean Barasav Yitzartiv? Roim is alam shachas ha-keser lenukva. L'chvoidi Barasav Yitzartiv. That my kavod is nimshach into the source of Bria Yitzir and Asiya, which is in Malchus. That Malchus has Keser. Shu makar the Bria Yitzir of Asiya. This avoida, being mamshech Keser to Malchus, which is the source of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya, much as mamish creation, is the idea of l'chvoidi b'rasav yitzart. V'nimshach al-yedei mitzvahs ma'asiyos. Who accomplishes it? These are the Yidden who do mitzvahs, mitzvah Jews. V'zau, this is also the meaning of a pasuk, Pizar nasan le'avyonim, that they scattered their money to the avyonim, to the poor, which is mitzvahs. That's the main mitzvah, tzedakah, that you're scattering to everybody. And what happened? What's the result of Pizar nasan le'avyonim? Karnoi tarum b'kavoid. That his horn is elevated in honor. What does that mean? It means exactly this. Your mamshich kavoid, which is keser, to Malchus. Malchus is called Karnoi. Now, why is Malchus called Karnoi? I was adding another word to Malchus. Why is Malchus called Karnoi? Karnoi means sometimes a horn, but Karnoi also means a corner, a keren, a corner. And it's interesting in English, it's the same word. Keren and corner. The korana is the mizbeach, the corner is the mizbeach. What's a corner? A corner is where two sides meet. Right? Two different sides. East and northeast is the corner. Malchus is a point of meeting. Why? It's where the divine meets the creation. Lower than Malchus is the source of creation. And all the spheres up to Malchus, it's all the Eibishter. So where does creation and God meet? At the corner. And that's Malchus. Malchus is called Keren. And that's why you put all the blood on the Kronos of the Mizbeach. It has to do with putting the blood, elevating the behemoths and everything into Malchus. Through Malchus it goes up higher. But the Korain is Karnoi Tarum Bekavoid means that Malchus is elevated into Keser. Or your Mamshech Keser into Malchus. How is that accomplished? Karnoi Tarum Bekavoid. Pizar Nasan Levyoinim, mitzvahs ma'asiyos. Tzedakah that you give Levyoinim directs down that should cause Karnoi Tarum Bekavoid. Pirush HaMalchus Datzilus Nikras Keren is called Keren. Al Shem Shu Ischabres Atzilus Im Abriya. It's the point of contact with the world of Atzilus, with the world of Bria. V'zeu al derech Moshe K'may Keren Zavi is like a corner. Shu Ischabres Beis Aksalim, it's where you attach two walls. K'mash Kasim Makamacher. V'ayim Ezeh Bezoyer Pashat Bamidbar Daf Kuf Chav Amad Aleph. U'pirush Karen Tarum Bekavoid. Then what's the meaning? Tarum Bekavoid Hainu. Roim Musa Malchus. It's that Roim Malchus is in a state of elevation. K'moshe Kasav, like it says, Aroi Mimcha Elokai HaMelech. I will lift you up. V'hainu Bekavoid. And where you elevating Malchus? Tarum, where is it being elevated? The same idea of Aroi Mimcha. You're elevating it Bekavoid, Shua Keser. V'zeu Animshach Aidei Pizar Nasan Levyoinim. Shua Tzedakah, which is Tzedakah. Shu Klalas HaMitzvahs Kenoida, as it is known. V'ayim Bezoyer Pashas Balois Chadaf Kuf Non Daled Reish Amad Aleph Me'inyin Karnoi Tarum Me'berei Mehemna Pashas Pinchas Daf Reish Non Hey Amad Beis Keser Elyon Kavod Ilah Chulu V'ayim Ashkazu Oid Bepirish U'lechvoidi Birasav Af Asisa Bebira Pasuk Mimana U'mispar Chulu. Look these places up. I'm sure it's going to be very, very enlightening. Aval HaTorah Sheyach Chachma, but Torah is the Chachma that directs you how to do the mitzvahs. But you're not yet engaging the actual physical objects, because Torah is only speaking about them, not doing them. What did we say before? Chachma is barir. Chachma gives you direction. But in Torah, you don't have the substance of the 248 sparks, atzman, hamizbarid, and meshviras hakelim, that are being elevated from the shattering of the vessels. Shazeu dafka daikai de mitzvahs maisius canal, which is only through physical, actual mitzvahs. Ella, there is a little bit, like I mentioned earlier, there's a little bit of physicality to the Torah. Ella dakima svasav, the actual movement of the lips. Mashakoyre v'shayna, you're reading it. Nama have a maisa. That's two is called a maisa. V'hugam came bitter reish peches. So in that, the Torah also gets that potency. It's also a bitter of the 288. The main elevation of the 288 sparks is through action. Through Torah, you're being mamshech the keser to the zeir anpin. You're calling down the Eibush there. How? By calling him with truth. What's truth? Ein emes ela Torah. So by learning Torah, you're also downloading. You're downloading the Ein Sof. You're pulling him down. You're mamshich the keser to the zeir anpin of Atzilus. But in order to draw keser down to Malchus, it's dafka through the physical actions from the reason we mentioned above. V'oid kizun, and another inyan to this, zuchra v'nukva, which is again nukva is malchus, zuchra is the zeir anpin. Hem bechinas yetzira v'asiya shebatzilus. They're called yetzira because bina is bria. In each world are all four worlds. So in Atzilus, what's the Atzilus of Atzilus? Chachma is Atzilus of Atzilus. Bina is Bria of Atzilus. The Ze'er Anpin, the 6 emotions, which are considered one pack, they are the Yetzira of Atzilus. And what's the Asiya of Atzilus? Malchus. Okay, so once we have that, so now we understand. We're talking about being Mamshech Keser to the Ze'er Anpin, and being mamshech keser to malchus. So he says like this. We know that bria, yetzira, and asiya is machshava, dibur, and maisa. Maisa is called asiya, dibur is yetzira, and bria is machshava, thought. So limud Torah is mainly, when you learn Torah, what's the main mitzvah of learning Torah? V'dibarta bam, it's dibur. That's why limud Torah connects to the yetzira of Atzilus. What's the Yetzira of Atzilus? The Zeir Anpin. So it's Mamshech the Keser to the Zeir Anpin of Atzilus. In order to bring it down into Malchus, which is the Asiya, you need to move your muscles. You need to physically move your muscles. And physically moving muscles is doing physical mitzvahs. So that's V'gam, he says, V'oid kizunem b'chinas Yetzira v'Asiya shebatzilus. Thought, speech, and action. Dibur through speech. See, this pirush that he's saying now is a whole different pirush. Before, he was attributing it mainly to the nitzutzim that you're elevating. And since in mitzvahs you're elevating more the reish peches, the 288 sparks, so that power has a bigger power to draw it down lower. Here, he's talking mitzad the etzem exercise of the person, not the nitzutzis that you're elevating. Just the act that the person is doing. In limud Torah, you're mainly using dibur. So you're being mamshich to the world of Yetzira of Atzilus, which is dibur. In Asiyas HaMitzvah, you're doing physical action. So you're driving the light down into the Asiyah of Atzilus, which is Malchus. In order to draw it down to Asiyah Shabbat Tzilus, Shu HaMalchus, that dafka idea mitzvahs ma'asiyos. Dafka through physical mitzvahs. V'ayim ha'shkot b'asher shalach, ha'pasik toiv ha'oretz mo'id mo'id, v'ha'pasik v'atol yigdalna, shalekach al yedei ha'toyra nimshach ha'or b'gan eden elyon. This also explains why through Torah we draw the light down into the Gan Eden Elyon. Because where's Gan Eden Elyon? In Yetzira or in Bria. They are mitzvahs, nimshach b'gan Eden ha'tachten, the lower Gan Eden, which is in Asiyah. But let's not chas v'sholom dismiss Torah. The hamshacha of Torah who b'chinas pnimius is a deeper, is a more internal hamshacha. Chazal Taka said, kol chafetzim lo yishvu ba. All chafetzim, even mitzvahs, don't compare to Torah in that sense. that this is Pnimius. As stated elsewhere. In the next piece, very geschmack. First of all, I want you to say that the 288 sparks are still waiting for us. There's a cholent over there. And that's going to give the potency. That's very important. It's the 288, because without the 288 sparks, we're not going anywhere. And I have kishke too, nish not cholent. Here's the Maisa. That's number one. Number two, second thing that's important, is the next piece. He's tying this all into Shavuos, and Shavuos by night, and Kitzach. This is a gem. I've never seen this before. Let's read inside. This will understand. We're holding Sif Hey. Give Daniel a copy. This will understand the Maimer Chazal. Just like it's not possible the world without ruchos, without wind, the world can't be without the Jewish people. The world needs wind. Without that, the world couldn't survive. The whole weather patterns and everything is the air is being, it's all through the wind. The world needs the Jewish people. So what's the beer? Wind, ruach, is related to ratzon, to will. And Yidden drive the Eibishter's will into the world. Without the Jewish people, as I said earlier, everything would be drooping. Only the anti-Semites would know this. It would be so, they would have no chayos. They wouldn't enjoy a hamburger. Everybody would be dead. The Jews give all the energy and flow, the cosmic. Why? They have to know this, that all their energy, all their power, in their concerts, in their sports, in their stadiums, in their casinos, they ganze they got the whole thing. It's all coming from the Jews, because we drive the Eibishter's energy into the creation. That's why we talk about that in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, that we had a bigger flow. It says, the Gemara says in Masechta Sotah, the end of Masechta Sotah, that once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, the taste of food went away. The whole, everything is like semi-dead now. It's waiting for things to really come alive with gusto once Mashiach will come and everything. We need, there should be a Amshach of Ratzon, B'kiyam v'ishtalshalas ha'olamais. The world's need a kiyam the world's need. The ratzon has to flow, which is the ruach. Why? The Eibishter desired as a world. Because the simple will that has arose in God's, in Hashem, livrei ha'olam, to initially create the world. That was a gift. The first time it was voluntary. Bilti Allah Asman, no one stimulated it. There was no feminine waters. There was no one driving it. But after the Eibishter created human, we need to keep on pumping that desire. To raise feminine waters, to draw down the Eibishter's interest and desire in creation. And that's through Torah and mitzvahs. We draw down the two crowns, to the Zeiranpin and to Nukva, which are two levels. And again, this is mamish parallel to my Monday shir. Listen to it, Be'ez Hashem. That has to be, that's the Ratzin, if there should be the world of Atzilus. Ubiyah and Bria Etzir and Asiyah. These are the two Ritzaynus. V'zeu al tikro banayach elo boynayach. That's why we say, don't call, it says, V'rav shalom banayach, and a lot of peace to your children. Chazal say, don't read it banayach, read it boynayach, the builders. Because we actually build the world. That we're building the world, that we're creating the desire of God to invest in the world. So even though this primary work on this inyan of drawing the Eibishter down, it's a daily activity, and a Rosh Hashanah we have to do it, but on a much deeper level we do it on Shavuos. Because the pnimius of all of creation is Torah and mitzvahs. And on Shavuos by night is when we draw the crown down into the Zeiranpin and into Malchus. Malchus is Torah Shebal Peh, Zeiranpin is Torah Shebiksav. But let's understand something. The Torah itself is lifeless until Jews will read it, because Jews are the only ones who can draw. The Yidden are the ones, but for that you have to eat cheesecake before Yom Tov, so you can have the nitzutzas there. So you can elevate them as a really high, and then you can pour down the etzem of the Eibishter's Ratzon. Where? Shavuos by night. You get the Eibishter's. When Yidden cherish Torah Torah Shebiksav and Torah Shebapeh, in the Tikkun Leil Shavuos, you go through all of Torah Shebiksav, Tanakh, and then you go through Torah Shebapeh as well. Chassidim do that. The Litvaks like to learn Baba Kama. Chanukah, you're learning Baba Kama, Baba Mitzvah. Purim, you're learning Baba Kama, Baba Mitzvah. Shvius Banacht, learn Shanabas for Chassidus in the Bnei Shalaylam. Weiter, go on to that. Migoy, and that. Okay, get into the spirit. Okay, I'm sorry, we'll take this, we'll edit this part. Any case, I don't get it, but okay. But you know what? We over here, Shavuos by night, we're going to have a little halacha, we have a nice good shmogah, we have everything. There, come. And we're even going to have the Reish Peches Netzutzen over here too. Some sparks too to elevate everything. So this is what he says. V'zeu gam kening in Eisik b'Torah shebiksav shebapeh b'leil Shavuos, in the night of Shavuos. Shemamshichem ha-keser l'zun. We're mamshich the keser for zuchra nukva, which is, again, the zuchra through Torah shebiksav, and nukva through Torah shebapeh. K'm shekasa v'priyetz chayim, as stated in Arizal. V'hu al derech ha-mashal ha-Torah v'ha-keser she'oisen l'melech basav v'dam. This is compared, hear this, to a crown that you make to a king. Now, how do you make the crown? You make it mizav avanim toivis. The crown is made of gold and of precious gems. Sheyesh po shnei dvarim. And there's two ideas of making a crown. Number one, you have to buy the most precious diamonds and gems and rubies and emeralds and who knows what for the crown. Etzem v'guf hazav avanim toivis. The essential bit of the gold and the precious stones. Habez, the other one is Second part is the setting. Is you have to know how to set it in the crown, that it should be done in a magnificent way. In the crown and in the. You hear this? When we draw down the crown Shavuos by night, there's two bechinos. Ta'aynu Torah mitzvahs. These are the Torah mitzvahs. Why? The idea of mitzvahs. What are you doing through the mitzvahs? You're retrieving the sparks. The sparks, that's the precious stones. Sparks of holiness that come from, that are embedded in the Dvarim Gashmiyim, that are so low, but when you fix it, just like stones, when you pull them out of the ground, they're still dirty. You polish them, you clean them. And then a strange thing happens. This stone, it's an inanimate object, adorns a human being. You have this beautiful bride, and she wears a diamond, and it like enhances her beauty tremendously. In other words, the Gashmias, the physical doiming, sparkles and shines. And that's the Chiddush. That, as we said earlier, the Gashmiistic things in this world become so bright when we use them for the right things. We elevate the 288 sparks. This is the essence of the precious gems. Why are they precious? Why is it so precious, a stone? Because it's a davar hapeled. That a stone that's a doimim should shine, should be so bright. This is the idea of the purification of these 288 sparks. By the way, the 288 sparks, we should have been done along. First of all, the Rebbe said we finished already the 288 sparks, already 20 years ago. But you should know that in the other Maayon it explains that the 288 sparks are splintered into billions of sparks. But the original number is 288. They fell very low. And through this elevating, they shine more, even more than we said earlier, even more than the neshamas of Atzilus. Through their very, very elevated source. Nevertheless, but hear this. But then you need to have a stone setter. You can't have nice stones. You have to know how to set them. In order for them to be elevated to be a crown, what does the Torah do? It tells you how to do a mitzvah, how to set this, how to take all these diamonds and set them in a perfect setting for the Eibishter. How you should utilize the Gashmias. That's what halacha is. All of Torah is telling you how to handle the Gashmias and how to perform the mitzvahs. How they should be elevated. Ki b'chachma is beridu, chachma does the bir. V'zeu, and here this gewaldige inyan, I never saw this before. V'zeu shekol yemei hasfira, hu bitter reish beis ches netzutzim. Sfira Sa'omer is a time when we're really rectifying things, because you see, we work with our nefesh habahamis, we say, l'tarenu, l'kachenu, if I was poigem, we're doing a purification in the Omer. Omer is the nefesh habahamis, the lowly things. Reish peiches kenoida me'inyan oimer sa'orim, that's the Omer of the barley. Machol behema, it's the low things of the world. Shem ban, it's the shem ban. I think Omer is even gematria, no, it's not, Omer is not gematria ban. Whatever, which is the name of ban. Va'achakach. So in other words, during Sfira, particularly, it's a time of bitter hanitzutzis. So now you have you basically when you come into shul Friday, Shavuos by night to learn. Here's the amazing thing: when you come into shul Shavuos by night, you have a bag of gems that were already polished. Now you spend all night setting the gems in the crown. That's the limud Torah of Shavuos by night. So you're creating the crown. Va'achakach beleil Shavuos oiskim b'Torah shebiksav v'Torah shebalpeh. We're oisik in Torah shebiksav v'Torah sheba'omroi shekach kosher. When you're saying this is kosher, v'im loy kein pasal, if not it's pasal, v'chein b'tar v'tameh. Oh, you see, he clearly justifies learning the Baba Kama and the Baba Metzia. Look at that. He says when you say this is kosher, this is tameh, aser muter chayev v'zakai. Dafke in this way, the nitzutzim should go up. But not in another way. You just mitzayer, you just formed, you just designed the crown. And that's through the Torah. The root of all of this is you first have to attract God in the first place. And how do you attract them? With Mesiras Nefesh by Kriya Shema. That's in davening. Hu HaKadosh HaEchad, that's the first Kadosh. Shu B'chinas HaSrafim, which they are the Srafim. Shu B'chinas HaLos Man b'Mesiras Nefesh. That's the raising of the feminine waters b'Mesiras Nefesh by Kriya Shema. Shal Yedei Zeu Aliyas Havav the Kadosh. Shu Zad Atzilus. This way you're elevating the Vav of Kadosh. We spoke earlier of Zad Atzilus. B'Kodesh Uchachmi Allah. You're creating that first initial, what we might call magnetic pull, because you're elevating yourself, and through you, the spheres of Atzilus, leyached moichen da Abba ve'ima, to cause the moichen of Abba and Ima to unify. Ubachachma daika is beridu, and that's where in that state of chachma is where the birur happens. Nimtza yedei zeh dafke ikar shleim is birur areish peches netzutzim. You have to bring it into that bittul for it to have its real birur. Notice Limud Torah itself saying this is kosher and this is not the complete birur. The complete birur is when you come to a state of total awareness of the hu lavadehu v'yein zulasai. That's by Kriya Shema. That's the koyach ma that you apply. That's when the birur really happens, and that's what attracts the Orein Soif. And then when you learn Torah and do mitzvahs, you're drawing it down lower and lower. So when down here we elevated Maayon nukvin, feminine waters with Mesiras Nefesh, the same happens above. Havav the Kadosh b'Kodesh. The Vav of Kadosh is elevated into Kodesh. To cause this unity of Chachma and Bin, as we spoke earlier. The opposite. But he's saying it's like this: through our elevation, we cause the elevation to happen above, but it also happens the opposite. If it's an Eis Ratzain above and there is an Aliyah above, it stimulates us subconsciously also to have this Aliyah. Shekeshemis Ala Lamayla Havav B'Kodesh is an Eis Ratzain that we should also have that same Aliyah. Kamoika Nasa Lamata, it elevates us as well. Question is, are we going on the Eibishter's ride, or is the Eibishter being pulled by us? That Yaakov is the rope of his inheritance. So it works two ways. When you pull a rope from the bottom, it pulls the one on the top. Or when you pull the rope on the top, it pulls the one on the bottom. We're connected to God by this rope, and therefore either way, either we pull him or he's pulling us, but we're both attached to each other. I'm going to stop over here, and we're going to continue, because it would be a shame not to finish Vav. But we're going to go get some Metzutzis over here first, and then we're going to finish the Vav. Where did Yossi go? Right before the Nitzutzas, he ran away? Tell him that, Geferlach. Ay, ay, ay.
Wish I recorded that. Tell my wife to see it and record each chips.
Sure, you'll find the chips, huh? motive. Okay, we're ready for the last paragraph. I was going to teach this last week, but I was so exhausted after the Lag Bomer event that I came here. I tried to prepare. I couldn't get through 3 lines. And then, thank God, no one came. Yossi Manella showed up like an hour and a half late. And that was it. In any case, I guess it was waiting for you for the second half. Then based on this we can explain the meaning of the Pasuk. Ta'ena Rena, go out. It says, go out and look at Shlomo. And a crown that his mother crowned him. Well, derech masher kasim in Medrash Parshas Kedoshim. So this is similar to what it says in the Medrash Parshas Kedoshim. Seif Perek Chav Daled. Be'inyan Gimel Pamim Kadosh. It says when you say 3 times Kadosh. It says Mashal lebnei haMedina. There's a mashal to the people of a country. Sha'asu shalosh ataros lamelech. They made 3 crowns to the king. They made him 3 crowns. Ma'asa melech. What did the king do? Heniach beroishay achas. He put on his own head 1. V'shtayim beroish banav. And 2 of them he put on his children. They gave him 3 crowns to people. So he took 1 for himself, 2 for his children. So who is that? The Bnei HaMedina is the Malachim, everybody. They're all saying Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish. They're making God's 3 crowns. What did we learn earlier? The first Kaddish is to draw down the Orein Soif in Chachma. Chachma is called the Ebershter's head. So one of them he takes on his own head. The other one is to be Mamshech. The other 2 Kaddishes is to be Mamshech the Orein Soif further down into Ze'er Anpin and into Malchus through Torah and Mitzvahs. No, that's called the crown that's coming in the heads of his children. That's not for him himself. The crown that's for him himself is the one on his own head, which is the first Kaddish. That's what he says. Kach, so to B'chol Yom, or every day, Al Yoinim Machtirim L'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The celestial beings, the supernal ones, they crown God. Shalosh Kedushas, 3 crowns, 3 holies. V'oimrim Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu Oiseh. What does the Eibush to do? Noisem Beroshei Achas, he puts 1 on his own head. Ushtayim Beroshei Shel Yisroel, and 2 he puts on the heads of the Jewish people. Ado D'chsiv, Ki Kadosh Ani, I am holy. V'his Kadishtem V'yisem Kedoshim. You should make yourself holy and you will be holy. So it says 3 times Kaddish. One of them is the Ebershter's Kedusha, Ki Kaddish Ani. And one is talking to the Yidden. You should be holy. V'his Kadishtem V'yisem Kedoshim. Now we know that Kaddish is Keser. Because the idea of, it says Beferish in the Medrash, that when the Malachim say 3 times Kaddish, they make 3 crowns. Because Kaddish means Muvdal. Kedusha means separate. That's what Keser is, separate. Pidish Atar Echad, and the first crown, Shakadosh Baruch Hu Noisin Beroishay, he puts on his own head. Hu B'chenas Hamshachas HaKeser Elyon Da Atzilus. It's the being Mamshach Keser Elyon, the supernal crown of Atzilus Mamish. Shalamayla Gamma Echachmi Allah, which is even higher than the supernal Chachma. Hanikra Roishay, which Chachma is called the Ebershter's head. Al Derech Mashal, of course, by way of analogy. V'nikra Keser Zeh, and this Keser is called Raiva the Kol Raiva, the will of all wills. In other words, what did we say earlier? That when there's a will in Zeir Anpin, it's a will in Atzilus. And when the will comes down, when the Keser goes down to Nukva, it's the will in Bria, Yetzir, and Asiyah. This is really the details of the project.
And then there's the will of all wills. It's like the underlying will that the Eibishter has to even be in a relationship. Then with who exactly is going to be the relationship, what, where, and when, no, that's later. But first, even the willingness that Hashem should go out of himself, so to speak. That's through the first Kaddish of the Srafim, or our Kriya Shema, which is the idea of Mesiras Nefesh. We're mamshich the yichud of Ava, Aleph, which is father and mother, which is Chacham and Bina. Which is really not about just being the Yachid Chacham and Bina, like we learned earlier. It's really about being mamshich from Keser. This Amshach is really from the source of everything, Mamish, Umisham Nimshach b'moichan da'aba v'ima. When we say Chacham and Bina, it means that it ultimately makes its way into Chacham and Bina. He puts one on his own head. And the two of them that he puts on the heads of the Jewish people, and Amshachas Beis Ksarim, these are the two Ksarim, Lizun, Zuchra Nukva, Shenimshacham Adei Torah Mitzvahs, which are drawn through Torah Mitzvahs. Canal, as we said earlier, look in the Pirush of the Ramaz, Reish Pasha Shalach, Tav Kuf Nun Tes Amud Aleph, Kabetlas Alman Isle Lekutche Berichu. It says regarding that what it says in Zohar there, that there are three worlds to the Eibishter. Masha Pirusham Be'inyan Gimel Pamim Kadosh. What he explains over there regarding the three times Kadosh, for who Karev Lamashan is Barakan. It's not exactly, but it's close to what it's been explained over here. It is explained elsewhere. Now, what does it say in the Pasuk? Tse'ena Orena go out. Now, which crown is this Pasuk talking about? It says, Tse'ena Orena go out, Ba'atara B'melech Shloimoi, which is referring to Hashem, Ba'atara She'itruloi Imoi, that the crown that his mother gave him. So who's the Eibishter's mother? So Chazal say that the Eibishter's mother is the Jewish people. Because Hashem, the Medrash says that Hashem loizaz machavav, Hashem loved us with so many expressions of love. He called us his daughter, his sister, and his mother. But in which level are we called the Eibishter's mother? The Masha Knesset. Now, obviously, the crown that we're talking about over here of Tse'ena Orena, the crown that we're talking about over here, which is the crown of Tse'ena Orena, is the crown that we are called Hashem's mother. So, which avodah is it? The avodah of learning Torah that makes us be called Hashem's mother? Is it the avodah of doing mitzvahs, or is it the avodah of Mesiras Nefesh Be'echad? Which avodah? So he says the Masha Knesset Yisroel Nikra Imi. This that Knesset Yisroel is called Imi. Imi means we are mashpia into him. Mother means we're taking care of him. Zawai Mesiras Nefesh Be'echad. It's tafkin the Mesiras Nefesh of Echad shemisham makar haTorah, which through this Mesiras Nefesh, which takes us into Keser, which from there is the source of Torah. We cause the revelation of Torah. We're called my mother, which is like the mother of the children. We cause the Gilui. We cause the Torah to be revealed. We cause the Chachma and the Bina energy. So we're called his mother. They gave him a crown. That's the one crown. And he puts in his own head. And this is where the Python says, the poet says, Yugdash ba'achas misholish kedushos. I guess it's a piyut that we say, I don't know when. Yugdash, it becomes sanctified. Ba'achas, he becomes sanctified with one of the kedushos. Misholish kedushos, from one of the three. Hua achas hamiyuchedes. This is the singular, special one. Shanimshach mebchinas mibchina, which is drawn from the level. Kishanikra Knesset Yisroel imi. When Knesset Yisroel is called his mother, Knis Galiel. But the other two ataras that he puts on the heads of the Yidden, why they are mitzvahs v'haTorah. Through mitzvahs and Torah, nikra biti. Through mitzvahs we're called biti. We're mamshech and malchus, which malchus is called bas. V'achoisi, we're malchus, we're mamshech and ze'er anpin, which ze'er anpin is called ach and achos, brother and sister. as explained in another Maimer, Chanukah Memorim, Rani v'Simchi Basiyin. And that's why it says regards to this crown that he puts on his own head. It says Tse'ena Urena. Tse'ena means go out of yourself, because the avoid of Kriya Shema is to go out. Torah Mitzvah is not going out. Torah Mitzvah in a sense is self-development. You're drawing down into yourself. You're aligning and synchronizing your koiches with the Eibishter. But it's about being who you are and developing the world and developing yourself. Davening is about elevating, especially by Kriya Shema, is about exiting, going out, tearing yourself out of limitations and boundaries to become. Go out. Go out of Kalim, go out of Gvul. It's the idea of the love of Shema that reaches a peak where it kind of overflows out of the Kalim, like a pot that overboils. Beli Gvul, without a limit. That's the name of Membeis, the name of Ana B'Koyach, which is the name of Membeis. It's an upward energy. It's a surging energy. Parshas Rishayna de Kriya Shema. It says in Parshas Rishayna of Kriya Shema, there's 42 words. The Parsha of Ahafta is 42 words. It's the Shem Membeis. It's a name of Aliyah, because what is expressed in the first Parsha of Shema? A going out of Kalim. V'Ahafta. Through this we're mamshach this atara kaniskliya. Also, like it's stated elsewhere, the Pirish Tse'ena hainu min alavushim sha'neshama melobeshes began Eden. Go out from the garments that the neshama is enclosed in Gan Eden. Because what you're experiencing, because what is the levushim of Gan Eden? Help the neshama be masig elokus. Helps the neshama grasp. The levushim give you context. The levushim give you, like a mashal is a levush. It enables you to grasp. Here we're talking about a gilui of the Eibishter that's not graspable. So you have to get out of everything and go into a state. It's in Chassidus, it's always discussed the difference between halbasha and hafshata. Halbasha are different types of teachers. There are some teachers who have the skill of being malbish everything, putting everything into examples, into metaphors, into tangible type. But there's another koyach. The other opposite koyach is to be mafshit something, to take an idea and to strip it from all the levushim, and to put the idea in that you can sense its edelkeit. You can sense that whatever you understand, it's deeper, it's more abstract and more abstract and more abstract. So this avodah of the first Kaddish is an avodah of abstraction. So in Gan Eden too, it's telling the neshamas in Gan Eden, Tse'ena, go out of your levushim, of your garments, so that you can touch something that's beyond definition and beyond garment and beyond. With this we conclude Chazak. We conclude this Kavaldige Maimer that we learned in two parts. The biur, this is actually a biur on another Maimer that we learned like 10 years ago. Okay, but I'm very happy that we got it done. Kavaldig. Jetzt kann schon Mashiach sicher kommen that we Kaddish was fully taught with the biur. What? They have levushim. Yeah. The mitzvahs. The Maisah mitzvahs are called levushim for the neshama in Gan Eden. That's why the Zohar says that a person should never have even one day that he doesn't do a mitzvah, because every day the mitzvahs that you do during the day, these are the levushei haneshama in Gan Eden. But even though those levushim are very important, there is a tenuah of going out of it. It's not like going out forever. Just like the whole experience of Kriya Shema, is not something that you stay in. A yid after Kriya Shema, you're supposed to be mamshich the dafke in Kalim.
Where are those neshamas going to go once they're in Gan Eden?
They have an experience that takes them out of those garments into something deeper, and then they bring it back down into Kalim. That's the avoid of Ratzai and Shuv. Ratzai is even in Gan Eden. Even in Gan Eden, there's avodah, based on the avodah that happens down here. No, guys, you think everybody's sitting there in a park and playing cards the whole day? This is Ghana avoided. They have the chips, but. So I gave you the time, an hour and 45 minutes. And that was actually just when I got to the Shavuos part. Okay, so it's on, you'll get to, it's on the, yeah.
It's possible some of this could be an analogy or analogous with like a blueprint or some kind of a, some kind of a building, some plan, it's a palace. But first of all, you have to follow the blueprint to make sure that the palace is built exactly right. So Torah allows the blueprint.
Yeah.
You can't do this without that.
But you need the materials. The blueprint doesn't give you, it's not the material.
If you don't implement the blueprint, then you got nothing.
Yeah, all you have is a blueprint. That's right.
If you try to implement without the blueprint,
Start card.
you end up like who knows what, another religion. Interesting email today. The guy who
Take care, Daniel.
the guy who was 20 years ago, he's in town,
Yes.
he's an Italian guy who
Let me shut the.